Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I'm Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston, and here to bring you another wonderful show full of integrative information, functional medicine information, and hopefully help you solve some problems in your life, much in the way that I've had to solve in mine, as most of my following knows. Today, I have a fantastic guest. I have Dr. Carolyn Dean, who is an MD and a naturopath, which is a great combination to have. I think this is the best way to approach medicine. I know Dr. Dean has a book, kind of in the regard of how contemporary medicine can actually kill you and take away your life, which most of my patients and most of my following knows. And I think that this is that may not be the best way to put it, but I think this is along the lines of what she and I are unified in our view of taking a more naturopathic path. And so, Dr. Dean, welcome aboard today. I am so honored to have you on.
Thank you so much. And call me Carolyn if I can call you Mary Ann.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, are you referring to Death by Modern Medicine?
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. I know I had a bad day when I wrote that book, but it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was looking into how creating actually a herbal combination. I was doing a homeopathic acupuncture injection for AIDS and chronic fatigue.
Right.
In Manhattan clinical trial back in the early 90s.
Yes.
And I thought, well, what if I got the Chinese herbs we use in these injections and people took them orally? And I found out how horrible our herbal supplement industry is, because they would bring herbs in from China. And if they were contaminated in some way, they would clean them up. They would put them through, nitrogen gas or any number of procedures, and then put them in capsules, send them out for testing. And if they passed the test, then that was fine. And they didn't have to declare any of the cleanup. So I mean, that's incredible.
Oh,
so
that is.
Yeah, that finally led me many years later to develop my own dietary supplement. And that was because when I was in Manhattan, probably the stress was so high. I really experienced a lot of magnesium deficiency symptoms. But I didn't know that, Mary Ann, until Random House asked me to write a book on magnesium.
Fantastic.
And seriously, we all have gone through this. I want to talk about your rheumatoid arthritis, but I had the headaches and the neck tension and the heart palpitations and the Charlie horse leg cramps, back pain, head to foot, magnesium deficiency. But I was so high energy, still am, that I just worked through it. You get your adrenaline going, which burns off more magnesium.
Of course.
But then when I went out to get a magnesium compound for my symptoms, I had the immediate laxative effect.
Yes.
So the 50 milligrams in my minuscule amount, you probably need about 600 milligrams. And I couldn't do it. So after the first book came out, I lobbied all the dietary supplement companies that were using my book to advertise their magnesium. I said, you've got to get a non-laxative magnesium.
Absolutely.
Come to find out, magnesium is necessary for 80% of known metabolic functions. Now just think about that for 2 seconds. 80% of your body functions because of magnesium. It starts with the energy. So the energy, the ATP energy, is made in cells inside mitochondria. And that ATP might as well be attached to Mg magnesium. That's the requirement. But hardly anybody has heard this, Miriam, but the heart has, each cell in the heart has 5,000 mitochondria. Most cells have 1 to 2,000 mitochondria. So the heart has
Wow.
a lot of energy. But then when I recently wrote a book on mental health, I found out that each brain cell, each neuron, has 2 million mitochondria.
Unbelievable.
Million. So when we're, talking about dementia, Alzheimer's, and
Yeah.
we just put it aside because, oh, the brain is too complex. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
there are no drugs to treat dementia or Alzheimer's.
Right.
But if you consider, again, for 2 seconds that each brain cell has 2 million mitochondria to make the energy to run the brain,
Right.
that means we need, 2 million magnesium ions for.
Exactly. If
So
not double, really.
magnesium is awesome.
That
And
is a mind-blowing statistic about the heart and brain. Did not know that. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly on the magnesium front. And, there's so many different types and so many, so many people do buy the wrong, you'll get the citrate, which is very commonly over the counter. And then, yes, you're in the bathroom all night and it's a miserable experience. And so, I had a magnesium show where we talked about the different versions and whatnot that are necessary. So I usually do the 3-in-8 or the glycinate or whatnot and advocate that. But I know as we spoke, before about before the show recording about some autoimmunity aligning with magnesium deficiencies. Also, you mentioned Candida, which is a big one. Now, I have a lot of patients who commonly ask me about Candida. And so, give us more information there. I know patients are very interested.
right, okay, there's 3 levels. You talked about magnesium compounds.
Yes.
What happens is the cells can't take in a compound. So any compound has to break down in the blood into its 2 ions, the
Right.
magnesium ion, the citrate ion, or the oxide, or the glycine ion.
Right.
And that only occurs in a split second. In that split second, and there's a lot of magnesium ions going into the cells. So we will get some magnesium from a compound. But just as a sidebar, what a chemist and I created was a stabilized ion of magnesium.
Mm.
We proved in university studies stays stable for years in a liquid bottle of this magnesium.
Wow.
So it's the ions that you want. And when you come to autoimmune disease, which I say is a combination of magnesium deficiency and other minerals as well,
Yeah.
because all of them are deficient in the soil. We're not getting them. And I
Absolutely.
run a big farm here in Maui because I wanted to see, can I live off farm food? I can't. All my magnesium deficiency symptoms come back. So magnesium deficiency and yeast overgrowth. Yeast toxins will cross react with body tissues and make the blood test look like you have an autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are you treated with? Cortisones. You mentioned weight gain. You take enough cortisone and your body blows up.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the two, they're it's easy for me to say, but I know myself with yeast overgrowth. I had it from, having a lot of antibiotics when I was young, birth control pill,
Mm-hmm.
mercury dental fillings, love, sugar, all those things gave me yeast overgrowth.
Mm.
But when I got into my naturopathic training, well, even before med school, I went into medicine because I had read all the health books back in the late 60s and early 70s. And there weren't that many. I could read
Right.
them all.
Right.
And I realized, you needed to eat good food. There was Adele Davis. There was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
information. So after med school, when I did naturopathic training, I learned about yeast overgrowth. And the yeast that's a little budding yeast cells, they live in your large intestine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're treating for infection, the antibiotics will kill off good and bad bacteria.
Mhm.
So your small intestine is kind of a vacuum into which yeast will grow.
Wow.
They
Wow.
will kind of bubble around because they're in little balls, but then under the influence of a lot of sugar, they will turn into a thread-like stage. And that thread goes into the small intestine, pokes holes, creating leaky gut, and then the yeast toxins, of which I've identified 78 different yeast toxins, including acetaldehyde, alcohol, zymogen, which stimulates psoriasis.
Mm-hmm.
These toxins will go into the body. The immune system freaks out because they're foreign toxins, foreign substances,
Yep.
and creates an antibody allergy reaction.
Yeah.
And then you get the brain fog. You get ear itching and irritation, eye itching and irritation, coated tongue, kind of choky feelings in your throat. You get IBS, alternating diarrhea and constipation,
Yep.
head to toe symptoms that you go to your doctor and you try to describe all your yeast symptoms. I mean, after two symptoms, they'll say, oh, well, you have this, take this antibiotic.
Yeah.
And Marianne, what has happened with the whole intestinal microbiome conversation?
Hmm.
They've turned it into SIBO, small intestinal
Yes, they did.
bacterial
Yep.
overgrowth. They
Yep.
don't even acknowledge yeast anymore
Correct.
because it's so hard to treat. Because, I mean, back in the day when I knew I had yeast overgrowth, I was avoiding sugar and gluten and dairy.
Yeah.
I just starved myself pretty much. I would smell foods that I couldn't. 10 years I was so strict, and it didn't make a difference.
Right.
And what I've done in my world now, because I'm not going to stop eating a bit of bread here or a delicious dessert. I'm in Maui for Pete's sakes. I love the fruit. So I created a natural Saccharomyces boulardii
Yeah.
and humic fulvic, and it's like a probiotic antifungal.
Nice.
And I use it with a silver of the stabilized ion of silver
Nice.
and remarkable results. So there are things we can do. And
Well,
with we work with a lot of autoimmune disease because people will come to us as customers and say, I've tried all these things. I have drug side effects. I just can't keep taking the drugs. And it's remarkable because even if people just start with my simple picometer magnesium, 80% of the body's metabolic processes, about 600 to 800 enzymes require magnesium,
yes.
including detoxification enzymes. They help clear toxins from the brain. What happens with minerals if they're not on their receptor sites in the cells? Minerals have places where they're supposed to go and be to be cofactors. If you are deficient in minerals and those receptor sites are empty, they will be filled by mercury, aluminum, lead,
Yeah.
and other toxins. If you take your minerals and
Mm.
they're absorbed properly as our ion minerals, they will fill up those receptor sites and bump out the heavy metals.
Right.
It is I'm going to say it's simple. I mean, it's simple in my mind, but
Exactly. It
yeah.
is.
So yeah, there's so much in just looking at yeast overgrowth and looking at the toxicity it creates, and then it is diagnosed as autoimmune disease. I mean, look at the number of autoimmune diseases that have just they're epidemic.
Hundreds. Yes. I said I gave a lecture not too long ago up in Austin and told everybody I felt like in the next 10 years we are all going to have an autoimmune disease of some sort, and it's all gut, tied to gut. I have not spent as much time on the yeast factor as I should. Just dealing with, leaky gut, dealing with thyroid disorders, hormones, and, there's so many things head to toe that we as integrated physicians have to deal with. And your information is just remarkable. So could it be after 18 years, I found my answer? I've taken so many. I've taken 12 of the biologics. And I'm on methotrexate now and Rinvoq, and hence I have a little shingles going on right here that I'm finally getting rid of. It's always something, and it's 18 years of it. It's exhausting, and hence the reason why I do what I do in an integrative level. All integrative docs, right? All
We'll
integrative docs
talk.
have a story.
We will talk.
Yes, good. Thank God. Thank you. I love it. So for those who are suffering, for those who don't have physicians around them, where can people find answers and reading? And obviously, I think spending some time on your website would be a good idea. So give us some ideas about what people can do when they don't have, the doctors to go to. That's common.
Right. And I'm just so upset with what's happened to medicine.
Yes.
For doctors, I get just the climate of
Yes.
how they moved into the HMO business. I had my own private practice and it was fantastic. But
Yes.
when I was doing the research in New York, we would work with different doctors. They would have 80% overhead
Yeah.
for their staff and their rent and all the rest of it.
Thank
So
you.
I can see how you move into an HMO, but then you're not the boss anymore.
Correct.
So the boss will say, well, you've got to do this many diagnostics. Diagnostics and biologics are the two money makers right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And it's so unfortunate that people don't get educated. Back in the early 2000s, I started a whole educational online experience for people. I had 108 modules. I would
Wow.
rotate out a module a week, so it was like a 2-year course. And people loved it, and they got a lot of information on what to do about diet and exercise and EMFs. I mean, I was way ahead of the curve.
You are ahead of your time for sure. Yes, ma'am.
And what happened in 2008, we had the financial crash, and I literally got emails saying, I love your information. I don't even have time to read it, let alone implement it.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to take.
Yes.
Seriously said, I want to know what dietary supplements you recommend. And around that time, I was still fussing with trying to get a non-laxative magnesium. So I really upped my game and realized that if you had absorbable minerals, food-based vitamins like vitamin C, the vitamin D3, of course, with your K2. Just seriously, just the basics. All I have is a very basic handful of vitamins and minerals, but they are so well absorbed and they work with the body that they can be low dose. And the low dose thing was very important to me because in the early 2000s, I attended a couple of Codex Alimentaires meetings, one in Bonn, Germany, and the other in Rome.
Wow.
And what that was about is the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization. They were trying to standardize the dietary supplements and toxins in foods that would cross borders. They were trying to restrict dietary supplements.
Wow.
Germany led it. Germany is big pharma,
Yeah.
and their modus operandi, was use synthetic supplements in low doses so they don't interfere with drugs. And that has what Yeah, all the countries, most of the countries in the world signed on to that,
Hmm.
started limiting their dietary supplements. Canada, they put drug numbers on dietary supplements, ruined their industry. I think New Zealand did the same. So we're forced now, like with I don't know, I guess it's Senator Durbin, Dick Durbin. He's
Hmm.
constantly hammering against dietary supplements.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did he get his funding? So what I decided to do, I had that information, the information from my AIDS study, and just my own health, how important magnesium was for me. I mean,
Yes.
seriously, I'm 76 right now, and I feel better than I did at 30 because
Amen.
I found the nutrient I needed, or I found the magnesium, and then I did a multiple mineral. 9 of the 12 minerals are necessary for thyroid hormone
Right.
production. So
Right.
boom, I got rid of my armor thyroid and
Wow.
the whole yeast business, getting rid of that. So what we'll find is when people take our magnesium, after a couple of months, they'll say, I was doing so good. We'd like them to take, all 6 or 7
Sure.
formulas, but they'll just start with the magnesium. I was going to say the name of the product, but like I told Marianne, I'm not allowed to name my products and say that they can help people. The FDA has slapped me
Sure.
on the a
Sure.
few times.
Sure.
So after a couple of months, when the immune system is getting the benefits of the magnesium, people will start saying, "Oh my God, our customers, I have a coated tongue and I have gas and bloating and
Ah,
itching. What's going on?" Yeast is being killed off.
there you go. Yeah.
Isn't that
And you
incredible?
always feel worse before you feel better when yeast starts dying. So it's a
So
process. It's a
yeah.
process.
So luckily they'll come to us because if you went to a doctor with these symptoms,
Yep.
you put on,
More antibiotics or cortisone.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yes, let me go back. Tell me what you'd like to know, please.
It was such a big question, wasn't it? So I apologize for that. After we've had some of the technological difficulties that we've had today, we have about 6 minutes left because this will just terminate automatically. And I apologize for that. We are going to have you back. You are invited from here on out on the show. But I guess the main thing, are these courses that you created still available? Can people find this set of information?
I put a lot of them in ebook form on Kindle.
Okay.
Yes, and you did ask me where people can learn more. So I have an educational site, drcarolyndean.com.
Okay.
So that has my blog. It has a
Yes.
link to my Monday weekly radio show, which is on
Yes.
it's in YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. I mean,
Yes.
like you say, we're on Instagram and Pinterest and all of it. And you just put in, like I did for you, looking at your YouTubes.
Mhm.
And my store website is rnareset.com.
Yes.
That RNA came up long before the COVID years
Yes.
because
Yes.
RNA is very important.
Yes.
And what I know about magnesium and vitamin D is they affect our RNA and our DNA.
Yes.
And you need magnesium to activate your vitamin D. The other thing you mentioned just in passing, hormones. Did
Yes.
you know that when you're on a birth control pill that has estrogen, when you're pregnant and your hormones are high, and when you're on menopause estrogens, it decreases your magnesium or depletes it or uses it up 15 to 30%.
Yes.
So women are susceptible to magnesium deficiency more so than men. So we really have to be careful. We all know that eclampsia, preeclampsia, and pregnancy
What's it
are
cured with?
related to magnesium
Yes.
deficiency. I mean, all of us in in the hospital, we would be in obstetrics and they'd put up an IV magnesium for someone who had high blood pressure, edema, and even seizures, and it would calm everything down. Yep. Now, are these obstetricians telling women to take a lot of good magnesium when they're pregnant? No.
Oh, bless your heart. This is amazing. So yes, absolutely. And, if we could, as physicians, get our training at in a depth and a level of what I have done after I went to medical school. Having studied A4M, I use A4M a lot, and just the things that I've done integratively, more of my education came after, and more of my education came from being sick, quite honestly. It's kind of a badge of honor that I've been sick, that I can help other people now with some of the things that, that I've learned from that. We just don't get that education. And so, doctors are strapped and handcuffed by the insurance system. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. What can you do? We are just all doing the best we can. I'm lucky to still be in solo practice, and do it that way, so I can be my own boss. So you gave a great amount of information about where to find you. Would you do me a favor and repeat that, so that, and I will have all of this on the website and on my social media as well.
Thank you. Storefront, rnareset.com, educational site, DrCarolynDean.com, and I'm all over social media. Not me. My team says, you have to do this. I mean, it's
it's the way of the world now.
The way of the world. And since I can't tell people that, this product or that product can help you, then it is up to
I can
invited on beautiful shows like yours to be able to get the information out there.
Absolutely. I can, and I will say so. And luckily I'm going to get on some of these things and try it. So let's work at that. And I appreciate your help. We are running up on that 27-minute, and this, I'm so sorry for all the technological issues today. Thank you for being patient with us. I am going to invite you back. This is great information. I'm sure my audience is going to demand it, but Dr. Dean, it's been an honor. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Everybody have a
aloha.
Thank you. I love it. Aloha to you as well. Everybody have a fantastic week.
You've been enjoying The Better Life with Dr. Marianne Pinkston. For more information, go to drpthebetterlife.com. That's drpthebetterlife.com. And listen next week for The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.